everybody, and welcome to the 6th episode of Coffee with Keira, the exciting podcast where I chat with different people about their careers to teach teens about potential jobs. I'm Keira, and joining me today in the coffee shop is Tiffany Matthews. We'll be discussing her amazing job as an event planner for MGM Resorts. See you inside! Hey Tiffany, and welcome to the coffee shop.
Hi, Keira. Thanks for having me.
So glad you could make it. How's your day been so far?
Not too bad. It's been a slow morning, thank goodness.
Where are you calling from?
We're calling from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Nice. I'm calling from my home in Dallas, Texas.
Well, I guess my home too, since we are all home right now, but
Okay.
Las Vegas.
What's in your cup this afternoon?
Sorry, repeat that again?
What's in your cup? Like, what are you having to drink?
Okay. I'm drinking my vanilla latte that I have at least twice a day, maybe more depending on how busy it is.
Yum. I just have H2O. I'm getting hydrated for my game tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Well, I've heard... Sorry, what were you saying?
Said you have to get prepped for your game.
Yep. Well, I've heard a little bit about your job as like a party planner, but what is your job and where do you work?
So I am the Director of Sales and Events for MGM Resorts. And MGM Resorts, as you guys know, is a very large company that is actually global, but I focus here in Las Vegas and primarily on nightlife and unique venues. And that includes anything that is a lounge and a nightclub within our hotels here in Las Vegas.
Like, what events is that?
Yeah. So here in Las Vegas, you have kind of two different categories of events. You have social events or you have corporate events. The social events are exactly what you kind of think of when you hear social, mostly weddings. You have bachelorette parties, bachelor parties, anything kind of in that world. Corporate, which is kind of more of my wheelhouse and what we do more of. Corporate is all the conventions that come into town. So they do their welcome receptions or their farewell receptions, but typically when a convention or corporation comes to town, they like to throw parties that they throw a dinner or cocktails for their guests, and they all come to one of our venues to enjoy.
So what is your portion of that? Do you oversee all of the organization of that?
Yes, so I oversee all the sales. So there is the sales aspect of it where you plan or you get the inquiry, you send out pricing and everyone agrees on it. You can then you sign a contract. So then that's the sales portion of it. And then there's the logistics portion of it where you actually do all the planning and all like the fun stuff like F&B, food and beverage, decorations, production, AV. And so we kind of do both sides. So we definitely do the sales side, which is getting it, and then we do the logistics side, which is planning it.
What's the coolest convention that's come to your place?
There are quite a few. I would say CES would be probably one of the most fun ones that come to Las Vegas. It's also the largest convention that comes to Las Vegas as a whole. It's the consumer electronic one. So it's all about new electronics, all about technology, and it's about 100,000 people come to Las Vegas for it. So a lot of different companies, and you think of anything tech, so Samsung or Microsoft or Mac or anything like kind of in the tech world. It's a very large convention in the convention center located here in Las Vegas, and then all the different companies come out. So that's a fun one because people like Google, which I've had in the past for quite a few years, they completely take over one of my venues and transform it. I mean, it's a two-day transformation, and the venue doesn't even look like itself anymore, and they get really creative and go out of the box, just like Google would.
That sounds like really a lot of fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. It's a little bit stressful, but if you like kind of working at a high pace, then events is kind of perfect for that.
How long have you been working there?
With MGM specifically, about a year and a half. I moved over in January 2019. Prior to that, I worked for a different company doing the exact same thing with the exact same title. I just with a different company called SBE Entertainment, and I was with SBE for 10 years prior to moving to MGM.
Nice. What does a typical work day look like for you?
Typical workday for us usually starts with, we obviously would head into the office if it wasn't COVID, and we would, we're pretty flexible. So my team, I have a team of 4 underneath me, and when you work in the events world, we always kind of talk about it's not a 9 to 5, it's basically a 24/7, just because you have clients that are constantly emailing you, texting you, and calling you. So even when you're home, say at 6 in the morning or 8 o'clock at night, your clients are typically still trying to contact you to finalize details for their events. So we're pretty flexible on what time people come to the office because it's really dependent on your day and what's going on. If one of my sales managers has an event that goes till 10 p.m. that night, I'm not going to make them come in at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we're very, very flexible with it. But at the same time, if they have to be there at 8 o'clock because they have to meet a client, then they got to be there at 8 o'clock. So our days typically are in the office spent just catching up on emails, organizing the upcoming events that are for the next 2 weeks, and finalizing and closing out any of the events from the prior week. Typically the daytime is spent doing all that, just doing sales and organization of all the current events. And then nighttime is all handling the events that we have that week. So we do have someone from my team at an event from start to finish. And then they're there for setup during the event and tear down. So the days can be long or the days can be shorter depending on the day.
Is that what makes it more stressful, just always having to be ready for something?
Yes, I would definitely say so. Why it's kind of stressful when I always tell my team or someone who's interviewing about events is that you're handling someone's, like say it's a wedding or it is a corporate like Google's event for CES. This is their most important event of the year or of that convention. So it's really important to them. It's their big day. For us on our side, it could be event 1 of 10 for the week. So in our mind, it is 100% super important and everyone is a VIP, but we got a lot going on. On the other side, they just have that one event. And of course, we don't want them feeling like they are 1 of 10. So I think that's where the stress comes in because you have to treat everyone like they are your one and only priority when you do have quite a lot going on at one time. And events is all about flexibility. That's also part of the stress because you could plan for 6 months. Like I could be planning with Google. I just keep using them because you already have them as an example. I could be planning with them for 6 months on their event, and the day of their load in, something could go wrong, or something that we measured doesn't fit correctly, or the loading dock isn't available. There's just so many things that can go wrong. Same thing if it was a wedding, it could rain that day. So there's a lot of things that can happen day of that change the 6 months of planning that you've done, and you've got to think on your feet. You just got to change. You got to pivot and change plan B, plan C, plan D, which is stressful, but for me, I enjoy it. I kind of thrive on that little bit of that stress.
You just got to be ready to ride the roller coaster.
Yeah.
So you said that you had 4 people working under you. Is that a typical size for like a party planner's team?
No, I would say if it was my dream, I would love to have 8 to 10. We do run on the smaller side just because of budgets and stuff that we currently have right now. And I would say it would be nicer to have a bigger team just because you would. Right now our team starts, say they start the event, they also have to stay all the way to the end. If we had more people on our team, one person could start it, another person could end it. So someone working a 12-hour day. So I'd love to have 8 to 10.
How often do you get to travel for your job?
Me, not as much. I am on the venue side. So when you go into the event world, you either are on the venue side or the corporate side. When you're on the venue side, it means you oversee the venues that people are booking out. So you could typically stay because I'm only selling the venues here in Las Vegas. If you're on the corporate side, again, an example like Google, the Google events director of events for Google travels a lot because they are, or that events team is throwing events in different cities for different conventions and going all over all year long. So that side of the event world does travel. My side stays put.
How much of it is like you guys coming up with all the ideas and stuff, and how much is Google or whoever the person is telling you guys what to do? Like, is there a lot of creativity in the job?
To be honest, from my side, not as much. That is typically the other side, the client side comes in with majority of the creativity, and we help execute. So my job is more of they come in and saying they want clouds floating from the sky in my venue. My job is to figure out, okay, how am I going to get clouds to fly? And I give them options A, B, and C on how we can do it. And I work with the hotel and or the venues to figure it out. Every now and then we do get to do the creative side of it. And that's mostly kind of I think when weddings come in, we become more of the wedding planner. So we get to be a little bit more creative and help with florals and set up, that kind of stuff. But I would say typically the client brings it in, especially if it's a corporate side.
So between like having to adapt to like say the weather and stuff, but do you have to be a lot of a problem solver for this job?
Yes, 100%. It's definitely always being a problem solver and always saying yes to the client we always say yes. We always want to make sure we say yes, we solve whatever problem they have, and then we go into the back and we figure out how to do it without them knowing all the nitty gritty. So we try to not let them see us working to get the problem solved, kind of like the analogy of a duck swimming on water. They see us calm on the surface, but our feet are kicking underneath the water, and we're trying to figure out and problem solve without them knowing everything that's going on.
Sounds like a great analogy.
It is a good analogy.
What are some of your hobbies, and do you have time for them?
I am a mom of two, so I would say my hobbies are definitely keeping up with the two little ones. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so a lot of my time is with them if I am not working. Other than that, to be honest, my job doesn't give me a lot of time for hobbies. I do make time to work out. That is something that I prioritize for my life. I think it's what gives me clarity and sanity to get through some of the stress of working and being a mom as well. So that is something I would say that would be my hobby, because I do prioritize that. Other than that, it's just family time. I really like anytime I do have off and I'm not at events or working, I really just focus on spending time with my husband and the kids.
Do you enjoy the people you work with, like overall?
I do. I think it's really fun. I love my team. I picked a team that I love, that I trust, and I love working with them. And I think outside of even my team, I love working with the clients, because being on the venue side of the events world, I get to work with lots of people. Like I said, sometimes we can have 10 events in 1 week, and that means 10 different clients that I get to work with, all different personalities, some a little bit more difficult than others, but it is really fun. And you get to know them. I've had quite a few that I've known and have worked with for 10 plus years that constantly come back to work with me at different venues. And I know about their family life. I know their kids. We will go and have a glass of wine before or after the event. And I've formed friendships because of it. So I really do enjoy the people that I work with.
So it's a good job to make long-lasting relationships with other people too.
Yes. It's a great job for long-lasting relationships and making new relationships. As you know, I think our generation and just right now, the more people you know and the people you know is really, really helpful.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice just to know different people. Like knowing someone from Google is great. Knowing someone from Amazon is good. So
Yeah.
it's just nice to have that wide social network.
Mm-hmm. Do you have to be more of an extrovert for this job?
Yes, you definitely, because you deal with a lot of personalities. Like I said, and some are difficult and some are easygoing, and you have to be able to be very, like I said, the duck swimming on water.
Yeah.
So constantly have a big smile on your face. You want to be very positive. You want your clients to consider you a very positive person, just because if you're the negative one, your clients are not going to not going to want to work with you as much. So you definitely want to be positive, a little bit bubbly. Like I tell my staff to walk in every room and say hi to everyone and make sure there's a big smile on their face. I'd rather you have the big fun energy, so it kind of gets everyone in that mood.
Yeah.
So that if things do happen to go wrong, it's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have negative energy out there. So
Yeah.
definitely want to have a good positive energy and willing and talking to people. And if someone is more of a negative or difficult client, still smiling and making sure that you're still going to get through it no matter what.
Keep going.
You gotta just keep on going.
What's the best part of your job?
I think seeing the event all come together. There's some events that are just turnkey that are really easy. They don't take a lot of time. They just come in, they pick the same menu or a typical menu. We do the exact same setup that we do for every other event. So some are super turnkey. And I don't want to say the word boring, but they're easy because they're turnkey standard. But then there's the really fun events like certain weddings or Google or ones that bring in live entertainment, or just the ones that take a few months to kind of create, and you're creating it with your client. Your client's coming with all these fun ideas, and you're working together in and out, doing text messages at midnight or phone calls at 5 a.m. and you're working together just to kind of put the whole thing, put all the ducks in a line and put everything ready to go. And it's really fun. Event day can be really stressful in the beginning, but as soon as doors open and the guests start walking in, it's really fun to see everyone's look in their eyes while they see what you guys put together. So it's really fun just watching everyone enjoy the party you put on.
Mm-hmm. Seeing the masterpiece complete.
Yes. It all come together.
Yes. What is like the worst part or challenges of the job?
I would say there are some really long hours. For me personally, like I said, I'm a mom, so sometimes there are the weeks. When conventions are in town, especially the large ones, they're here for a whole week. So it could be a whole week where I'm working from 7 a.m. till midnight or so. So I am missing mornings and I'm missing bedtimes for the kids.
Yeah.
So that I think for me personally is really hard. I think if it's someone who is younger and maybe doesn't have a family yet, I think the stress, because for me, I've gotten over the stress. I know how to handle it. I've been doing it for so long that it doesn't bother me. It doesn't get to me. But I think for someone brand new, entry level, kind of entering into the world, is really stressful. Like just because clients need information and information very quickly, and you have constant emails, so you kind of feel very pressured to answer things and get things done at a very quick pace. And I think everyone that starts working with me and starting events in the beginning, I forewarn them about that feeling of pressure and stress. And you get anxiety. You kind of get the stress and anxiety because you just feel you have to get everything done at a very fast pace. And so I always kind of talk to them about how to bring it down and how to relax and just kind of, it's okay for a client to wait 24 hours if they need to, stuff like that. So I think for someone brand new into it, I think that's the hardest part.
What is your best memory from work?
Let me think. That's a good one. I'm trying trying to think of a good. I had an event at Hyde Bellagio, which was one of my past venues, which is over the Bellagio fountains. And it was a big event with Samsung. And we did a TV reveal. It was basically their first this is a few years ago, so it was 4G. Obviously, we're past that now. But it was a brand new TV, and it was huge. It took up almost our entire patio, and it was a big media reveal. So all this media was in there with all these cameras, and it was all about timing. And what we did is we actually set the fountains to go off at the exact right time of us sucking up the curtains that covered it. And as we sucked it up, we actually had fireworks go off,
awesome.
sparklers go off right behind it. And then we actually had a projection onto the Bellagio fountains of the Samsung logo. So that one I think was my biggest whoa factor. And it was obviously the hotel was very involved in that one as well because of the fountains and getting something onto it. But I think that was a really fun one because I've never done anything where it was just such a whoa moment.
Yeah. Just you explaining it sounds amazing.
I think that one, and then I've done a few weddings, one including one of my good friends. They did a wedding at one of my venues, and that one was, again, a little bit more personable, and it was just, I don't get to do a lot of personable events because most of them are corporate, and I think we brought in chandeliers and ivy and just draped the whole venue with white curtains, and it was just so pretty to turn a nightclub into something so romantic and beautiful. So I think that one was another really fun one that I loved.
You guys are like artists for a room.
You can be, yes.
Can you describe the path of how you wound up choosing this career?
Yeah. In college, I was a communications major because I wanted to get into PR. I was that generation that grew up watching Sex and the City, and you watch Samantha and being a PR person. And I don't know, I kind of really loved the idea of being in PR. And I also went to college in Marina Del Rey, which is right outside of Hollywood. So I kind of was really focused on the PR world, public relations. And then I got an internship. And I loved it. It was a great PR firm, and they did a lot of red carpet events. But I quickly learned that public relations is a really big umbrella, and underneath it, there's multiple different parts of the big umbrella of public relations. And a lot of it is dealing with talent and all the press releases and all that stuff. I didn't really like it once I was in it. It just didn't click with me. But what did click with me was working all the events that we had to do. Even though we were doing the nitty gritty, guest check-in at a red carpet event, it wasn't glamorous in any way, but I really clicked with doing events. So I kind of started venturing out and looking more into the event side of it. I ended up working at 944 Magazine, which was located in Hollywood, and they threw a lot of events. So I started kind of just doing events with them. And then Dre's Hollywood opened up, which was a big nightclub on top of the W Hotel in Hollywood. This was after I graduated, so now I've graduated. And I knew one of the owners and people that ran it, and they kind of took a chance on me and having me do their events since I was brand new right out of college and I didn't have a background or anything like that. So they got me into it, and it made me learn really quickly because, again, I had very little experience. And when you're a brand new venue in Hollywood, especially on a rooftop, you get all the big events, all the movie premieres and all the TV premieres. We did Victoria's Secret, we did Us Weekly, we did all those big parties, and I literally had no idea what I was doing. So I had to learn really quickly. I figured out through a lot of trial and error, unfortunately, but I learned it and figured out what strategy worked best for me and what protocols worked best for me. And from Dre's, I went to SBE, the company I was with for 10 years, and then one Hyde Bellagio and another SLS Las Vegas was set to open in Vegas. I went to my boss and told her that I was comfortable moving if they wanted me to, and they said yes. So they shipped me off to Vegas, and that's been it. So I kind of started off looking at PR and learning that I didn't like it, and kind of changing my career path from college.
Yeah. It was like, ooh.
Yeah. I think it's important that like once you may think you want one thing, but once you get into it and try it, you may not like it, and you kind of just find something new or something that is a extension of what you thought you liked.
Yeah, it's just trial and error.
Yep.
If you hadn't chosen this career, what would have been your next choice?
I don't know. People have asked me that before, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I honestly love my job. I think that's one of the hardest parts of right now, the current circumstances we're in right now with COVID, and everything kind of being on lockdown. I really miss my job. I really miss throwing events. I really miss doing it. So honestly, I don't know if this is a good answer for you, but if I wasn't doing my current job being on the venue side, I would love to be on the corporate side. Like I was telling you, working for a big corporation. Maybe not now because I have 2 kids, but I would love to be able to be on the other side where I got to travel the world and throw events in all different places. But that's something I never got to do, and something I would love to have done.
Well, this backtracks a little bit, but how much has COVID changed your job? Like, how many events anymore?
COVID has really hurt our industry. It really, really hurt our industry. Especially, obviously I can only talk of Las Vegas, but I could say that LA, New York, Miami, and Chicago are probably feeling the same thing. But Las Vegas is based off of large group gatherings, from events, from conventions coming into town, from concerts, from sporting events, from pool parties to nightclubs. Las Vegas is made off of large group gatherings and can do them. So Las Vegas as a whole is hurting, but our industry in itself has took a hard hit, because the only way you have events is by conventions coming into town. That's the only reason why people throw events. So at least corporate events. So we have basically stopped. We're not doing much right now. We're focusing on client relations. Unfortunately, my team is all on hold right now. So just me right now, but I'm focusing on client relations. I reach out to my clients every few weeks or so, kind of give them an update of what's going on in Las Vegas, see how they're doing, see how their families are doing, just kind of know that we're still here, and in hopes that we go back to normal, or a version of normal sometime soon, so that we can have conventions coming back so we can throw events. What has increased in Las Vegas is weddings. People are still getting married, which is great. People are still doing that, but they're small. So we can't do anything over 40 people as of right now. So they're smaller groups, but people are still traveling here to get married. So at least that's still happening.
Yeah, well, that's good. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
My goal would be, my husband and I have talked about it quite a lot. We would actually love to own our own event location. We would think of something kind of a unique place, either like a ranch or something like close to a vineyard. We would love to own a property that could handle lodging, small amounts, could do weddings. It probably would be a huge wedding venue. Also, corporate retreats would be great. Or specialized weekends, like if you did like a mom getaway weekend where people come. But we would love to own our own property, kind of like a bed and breakfast, but a little bit more than a bed and breakfast.
Yeah,
it could be a little bit bigger with a little bit more stuff and something unique. I think the vineyard ones have been done a lot, so we're actually looking more into like a ranch style idea. But that would be our dream in about 10 years, and we would love, because we'd also love our kids to grow up near it and running around it and having fun with it as well. So
I've gotten to go to like a barn wedding, and they're so pretty.
Exactly. So fingers crossed. That's what we would like to do in 10 years. But we'll see. We'll see how long it takes for us to get to our goal.
For anyone who is interested in a similar or the same field of work as you, do you have any words of advice?
Yeah, I would definitely. I don't think there's not like a school diploma or like degree. You have to get to do it. I think definitely being a really good people person. If you want to get in events, you have to be a good people person, have a lot of good social skills. You also, like I said, have to be really good with stress and be willing to want to deal with stress. Want to be in a high-paced world. It's constantly moving and constantly changing and constantly going. So someone that kind of wants a more relaxed lifestyle, I don't think would be made for the event world. And someone who's willing to put in a lot of hours. So I would say when you're first starting out, anticipate working 40, 60 hours a week. It's just you put in a lot of time in the beginning, but then as you grow and move up in positions, you don't have to be there as often as I think the other people, but you have to put time in, just like I think any other job you would.
Mm-hmm. Well, I really enjoyed talking to you. I've always been interested in possibly becoming a party planner, so it's been amazing talking to you. So cheers.
Cheers.
Bye, thank you.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. See you next time on Coffee with Keira.